What is going on there, everyone? Well, a really, really good article from the Daily Caller. In less than a year, 3/4 of the squad is under financial investigation. Imagine that. Imagine that. You know, these women, railed against, big donors and this, that, and the other. All kinds of nonsense. All kinds of nonsense. Sitting there, they campaigned on they're going to be different, they're going to be better, they're going to get things done. I mean, what have they actually done besides sow the seeds of climate alarmism, fears, and whatnot? They haven't got anything done. And as a matter of fact, they've become exactly what they were campaigning against. They are nothing more than corrupt, liberal fools that we've seen for so long now. For so long. I don't understand what's going on with the Democratic Party when it comes to these progressive people. Because all we're seeing out of these progressives is just bad. I mean, look, Miss Hill had to resign. These people are crazy. These people are crazy. But let's get into the story. It's kind of a long article, and it lays pretty much everything you need to know out in a really good way. They really did a heck of a job with this. So let's get into it. The three most prolific members of the so-called squad of freshman Democratic Congresswoman faces allegations of violating campaign finance laws and House ethics rules for their personal or political benefit 10 months into their term. Below are the Federal Election Commission's, FEC's, complaints and House ethics inquiries that have been filed against Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, and Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, since they took Washington, D.C. by storm in January with promises of bringing about a more equitable and just world. As they secretly try to enrich themselves and their friends. Neat. With our money. Well, not mine, because I ain't going to donate to any one of these freaking crazy people. Ocasio-Cortez could face jail time over unreported affiliation with outside PAC. Now, we all know that would never happen. Should it? Absolutely, because if it was any one of us getting caught doing any type of crime, they'd throw the book at us. But these Washington elites get away with murder. Some of them may have actually got away with murder. Clinton, excuse me. Ocasio-Cortez's political rise in 2018 was made possible in large part to the Justice Democrats, PAC, an outside political action committee that recruited her to enter politics in 2017 and provided much of her campaign staffing and overhead needs in the lead-up to her June 2018 primary victory over former Representative Joe Crowley, which Joe Crowley should have never have lost that, but it shows when you underestimate your opponent, you never know what's going to happen. Ocasio-Cortez's relationship with Justice Democrats became the subject of intense scrutiny in 2019, resulting in 2 complaints submitted to the FEC. One complaint submitted in April centered on Ocasio-Cortez's control over Justice Democrats while the PAC was simultaneously supporting her primary campaign. Ocasio-Cortez and her former campaign manager, Chair Saikat Chakrabarti, were appointed to hold 2 of the PAC's 3 board seats in December 2017. That's a big no-no. But the Federal Election Commission was never notified of the affiliation between her campaign and the Justice Democrats. Multiple former FEC commissioners told the Daily Caller News Foundation that Ocasio-Cortez could face civil or criminal penalties for failing to disclose her campaign's affiliation to the outside PAC. She will probably not receive any of this. She probably won't. Let's face it, these politicians are protected. I mean, they're protected to the point where it's absolutely ridiculous, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. At minimum, there's a lot of smoke there. And if there are really only 3 board members, and she and Chakrabarti are 2 of them, sure looks like you can see the blaze, said former FEC Chairman Brad Smith. If this were determined to be knowing and willful, they could be facing jail time. But see, that's a problem too, because you got to prove that it was knowing and willful. And all they have to do is something they're real good at doing, is lie. Say, oh, I didn't know I couldn't do that. It would be a clear civil violation of the act. I think they've got some real issues here. Former FEC Commissioner Hans von Spakovsky, added, if the facts are alleged, as alleged, are true, and the candidate had control over the PAC that was working to get that candidate elected, then the candidate is potentially in very big trouble and may have engaged in multiple violations of federal campaign finance law, including receiving excessive contributions. Another complaint submitted in March alleged that Chakrabarty, who served as Ocasio-Cortez's chief of staff until August, was running a slush fund during the 2018 midterms by diverting $1 million from the Justice Democrats PAC to an LLC under his control. Whew, it gets deeper. It appears AOC and her associates ran an off-the-books operation to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars, thus violating the foundation of all campaign finance laws, transparency, said National Legal and Policy Center Director Tom Anderson, who filed a complaint. The FEC is currently investigating the complaints filed against Ocasio-Cortez and the Justice Democrats. Ocasio-Cortez confirmed in August that she's been in conversation with the FEC, saying that she was in total compliance and dismissing the complaints as a form of legal trolling from fringe Republican groups. No, this isn't trolling. This isn't trolling at all. This is, making sure that you're, I guess, clean, so to say, when it doesn't seem to be the case. It just doesn't seem to be the case. AOC may be in some serious trouble over this, but like I said, I just don't see it. I don't see anything happening. I mean, I would love for Washington to finally police their own and to hold their own accountable once in a while. And the left, they don't ever hold their own accountable. They take up for them no matter what. We see this all the time. We see this with my governor, Ralph Northam, and his blackface things. We see it with another one of our big politicians here in Virginia, where he is, how does the left like to say it? Credibly accused of some type of sexual thing, but I'm not going to get into that right now. That's not what this story's about. On to Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar diverts campaign funds to alleged boyfriend. Omar's alleged abuse of campaign funds began long before her congressional campaign in 2018. Minnesota's Campaign Finance and Public Disclosures Board ordered Omar in June to repay her state campaign $3,500 it had inappropriately spent for non-campaign purposes in 2016-2017 during her tenure as state legislator. Omar was also required to pay a $500 civil penalty for using campaign funds to travel to a non-campaign related conference in Florida. I will give some credit. At least she did get in trouble. She did have to pay some fines, but it gets deeper. The report surfaced in August that Omar was having an affair with a married Democratic consultant, Tim Minette, according to a diverse file by his wife, Dr. Beth Jordan Minette. FEC records revealed that Omar's campaign had disbursed tens of thousands of dollars in travel expenses to Tim Minette's company, E Street Group LLC. Omar's campaign began making travel payments to Tim Minette's company on April 1st, about a week before his wife alleged in her divorce filing that he admitted to having an affair with the Congresswoman. Tim Minette has been pictured traveling with Omar across the country in recent months. In one picture obtained by the Daily Mail, the two were holding hands. Tim Minette's more recent travel and long work hours now to be more related to his affair with Representative Omar than with his actual work commitments, Beth Minette said during her divorce filing. Omar's campaign payments to Tim Minette's firm prompted the National Legal and Policy Center to file an FEC complaint against Omar's campaign, alleging that she was using campaign funds to pursue a romantic affair. And just with the evidence that we have, it does seem to be that way. Anderson of the National League and Policy Center told the DCNF, "We believe Representative Ilhan Omar may have touched the third rail of campaign finance law, dispersing campaign funds for personal use. It's a brazen act Representative Omar was caught doing before in Minnesota, and all of the evidence we've seen tells us she's probably doing it again." I mean, this is something she's already got caught doing, and she's still doing it. These people, these progressives, they have no respect for their office, this country. I mean, they don't care. They said it themselves pretty much. They're coming in there to shake up Washington, and that's what they're doing. They're shaking it up by just illegalities everywhere, but they don't care, because the odds of them once again of getting in any legal trouble over this is slim to none. For some reason, these people seem to be untouchable, where everything just gets swept under the rug, and that is a travesty to all of us. Even if you're a progressive, you should be upset about that, because, you know, the more you have these corrupt progressives being clearly corrupt, makes your whole little movement look even worse. Not that it looks good in the first place, but it makes it look even worse. Omar's attorneys dismissed the National League and Policy Center's FEC complaint and called it a baseless political ploy. It's not baseless. There's all kinds of evidence of you doing shady, shisty things. The conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch also submitted a letter to the Office of Congressional Ethics in September asking for an investigation into Omar's campaign payments to Tim Mynette's company. Omar ramped up her campaign spending to Tim Mynette's firm in the third quarter of 2019, according to an FEC filing in October. About 30% of Omar's campaign spending from July through September went to his firm. In total, Omar's campaign has disbursed $370,000 to Tim Mynette's firm. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. We'll find out. That one's, it's still a little bit of a cloudy picture with Omar and this Tim Mynette fella and his firm. So, waiting for that to clear up a little bit. There's obviously some wrongdoing there, but they just need to better clean that case up, in my opinion. On to the third. House Ethics Panel recommends subpoena over Rashida Tlaib's campaign payments. Let's see what she's doing. And she is particularly an egregious character. I do not like her. I can't believe people voted for her. She's she's just a vile woman. The 5 members of the Office of Congressional Ethics, OCE, board voted unanimously in November to recommend the House Ethics Committee continue its investigation into whether Tlaib improperly diverted campaign funds for her personal use. The House rules allow candidates to receive a salary from their campaign up to what they earned the year prior to their campaign. However, they're only allowed to receive such payments until the date of their election. And that's where Rashida Tlaib screwed up. Tlaib had received over $17,500 from her campaign after her election victory in November 2018, in an apparent violation of House rules. If Representative Tlaib converted campaign funds from Rashida Tlaib for Congress to personal use, or if Representative Tlaib's campaign committed expended funds that were not attributable to bona fide campaign or political purposes, then Representative Tlaib may have violated House rules, standards of conduct, and federal law, OCE said. OCE said Tlaib and her staffers refused interviews to discuss the suspect's salary payments. Tlaib was denied, or has denied, wrongdoing, and said in a statement, she received the minimum salary payments necessary for me to meet my personal financial obligations. We're not saying you didn't, Rashida. We're saying you kept doing it after you were elected, where it becomes a crime. We're not saying you didn't receive the minimal salary payments. But we are saying you clearly screwed up, and by continuing to receive payments after your election. I mean, come on. Come on. How are you going to argue that? There's a paper trail here. How can you argue that? I know the only argument I can see them making for any of these is ignorance. But in that respect, My God, people, look who you're voting into office. Look who you're voting into office. It's not a good look. It's not a good look for the left. It's not a good look for our country. I mean, and think about how much money we're spending on having to investigate all these people. God, it's sad. We're living in a very sad time. Very sad time. But will anything come of this? I doubt it. I would love to hear your comments on this, because I'm losing faith in our political system when it comes to policing the politicians. I'm losing a lot of faith. Not that I had much in the first place, but it's getting worse. It's getting worse. We have all these violations, and nothing's getting done over it. Nothing's happening. I don't understand why it takes them so long to do anything. If this was me or you, an average person, trying to defraud the government for any particular reason, we would be in prison within probably a couple months. They would fast track our trial to get us locked away. But these people can seem to do this all the time and constantly do the same things and get away with it. We gotta hold these people accountable. Even you progressives out there, you need to hold these progressives accountable. Okay? That's the only way for you to even be taken seriously. When you're constantly letting your politicians get away with murder, you're just becoming useful idiots at that point. And I don't see you as useful idiots. I see you as very confused. But I don't want to be so mean to the progressives. I don't particularly know why I don't want to be mean to them. I just don't. I guess it's the Christianly thing to do, to try to be nice to those who you don't like. But whatever. Big thing is there's a lot of stuff being investigated here. But my main takeaway is I don't think anything's going to happen. That's why I said I'd love to hear your comments on this, whether you think they'll actually get to the bottom of it, or whether we're not going to hear about it. Whether it's just going to dissolve into the madness that is the Washington establishment elites. We'll find out. We'll find out. Or maybe we won't. But as always, like, share, and subscribe. And I will catch you on the flip side.